This video was recorded live before a canned studio audience. It's Friday Night Movie Reviews, and here they are, Chris and Keith.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Keith.
I'm Chris.
And this is Friday Night Movie Reviews. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here and joining us tonight. We got another review coming out for you here. And what we did was we went and saw on this past Friday night, we went and saw the movie Borderlands. It's based on a video game, in case you don't know anything about it. And usually video game movies don't really do all that well. That's what we've noticed before in the past. The Resident Evil movies, you got some people that are fans of those, but they haven't really done all of that well. There hasn't really been very many. Now, there have been some exceptions.
Yeah, like the new animated Super Mario Brothers movie did really well.
Right.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 both did really well.
Right. And so there have been some exceptions to that rule, but generally video game movies don't do very well. The question is going to be, did this one do very well? So let's give a brief overview of the movie. Now, we're not going to spoil anything. We're just going to tell you basically what, a little of what you can glean from the previews, and maybe make things a little bit more clear for you as to what the storyline is. So, Chris, let's give an introduction to the movie here.
Basically, the movie kind of has that Guardians of the Galaxy-esque type feel to it. You can get that from the trailer with the 70s pop music playing, and you've got a ragtag group of different individuals, very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. Right.
Basically, the premise is they are trying to get to a vault, basically. I mean, that's they don't really specify that too much in the trailer, but the girl is supposed to be the key to getting into the vault. The bunny girl.
Yeah, with the rabbit ears.
Yep. And so they're going on a quest to do that, and you've got this ragtag group of people, and they're just trying to get there. And if they deal with things along the way, they've got things working against them. It's a story plot that you've seen play out in a bunch of other movies before. But
the planet that they're on, it's a different planet. It's not Earth, all right? So don't get that in your head. It's not supposed to be Earth. The planet that they're on is supposed to be the worst planet in the galaxy. It's supposed to be like the roughest, toughest, kind of junkiest planet in the galaxy. Anybody who is born there kind of spends their life trying to get away, and it's just it's supposed to not be a very good place to be. So this movie had some violence in it. It was pretty riddled with violence. I didn't really notice a whole lot of profanity. What do you think?
there wasn't a lot of profanity, and honestly, when people would die in the film, did you see any blood at all? There was no blood splatter.
Yeah.
They
Right.
really sterilized the film, made it
Right.
trying to be as family friendly as they could. That's originally the film was going for an R rating. It was going to be closer to the video game. Of course, going into this movie, I didn't know that the video game was actually more similar to like Fallout with the violence and stuff. But they watered it down, thinking that this would give more access to a bigger audience. Which I think probably ultimately hurt the film.
It probably did. So just to kind of give you guys a little brief notion. Well, we'll cover that later. I'm sorry. I'm taking too much. I'm wanting to jump the gun here because I want to get to the nitty gritty pretty quick. As far as any kind of adult situations, there weren't really any adult situations, but there were I noticed a couple of innuendo incidents.
But small kids, it'll go over their head.
Right.
Like, it's not stuff that's very, it's very subtle. You'd have to be an adult to get the joke. Like,
Right.
you'll laugh, but the kids will be sitting there looking at you funny, like, why are you laughing? The robot hasn't said anything funny in the last 2 minutes.
Right. Right.
And honestly, the robot would be the seller for the kids in the film. There's played by Jack Black.
Right.
You would think, oh, well, Kevin Hart's in the movie. He should be the funny one. Actually, surprisingly, no. Kevin Hart's not the comedic relief in this film. It actually is the robot.
As far as action goes, there was plenty of action in the film. There was comedy. There were times whenever I laughed out loud. There were some chuckle moments. Not really any kind of romance or anything like that. So if you're going into this looking for anything besides an action-packed comedic science fiction film, you're going to be severely disappointed, because that's really all it is.
Oh, yeah.
So let's give our audience here what we thought about the movie. So go ahead and let everybody know what you thought about it, Chris.
The movie itself was like, it was good. I laughed through it. It was just like a generic popcorn movie. The whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, I've seen this in other movies though. That was the feeling I was left with. You can tell it borrowed heavily from Guardians of the Galaxy and other films. All the usual action film tropes were there. It was just very, very generic. As far as that goes, just kind of mediocre type movie.
Right. It was not now there were no lasers in it. It was all like bullets and things to that effect. It was supposed to go along with the video game. Now, if you've played the video game, I personally have not played the video games.
Me either.
But the video games they're rated M, I do believe, right?
They are.
Because of they're riddled. The video games themselves are riddled with language, and they also have a lot of violence in them, and it's a lot of bloody violence. And like we said before, there's not really a whole lot of blood in this film. There's a lot of violence, a lot of people getting shot, a lot of people getting killed, but there's really not a whole lot of blood.
No, and apparently this movie, the video game at least, is supposed to be more similar to like the Fallout series. If you've seen Fallout recently on Amazon, in case you're not a video game person, it's very violent, very bloody, very riddled with language. And this was supposed to be like that. And apparently the original script for this movie, it was supposed to be rated R, but they brought in the director, Eli Roth, who's primarily known for horror. And that's what surprised me and Keith, was the fact that why is a horror movie director directing this film? Right.
So that was a kind of surprising thing in and of itself. So let me give you guys just kind of a little overview of what we experienced when we went to the theater. So we go to the theater, and usually, if it's a pretty popular movie, the lines are pretty long. We were able to walk right up to the concession stand and buy our tickets just almost right after we walked in the door.
Yep. And
we were able to get our popcorn and whatever we were getting and get into the movie. There was no wait whatsoever. And when we went into the theater, they had this particular movie set in the theater that was way in the back. It wasn't right up front where you just walk in and you can walk right into the doors. No, it was way in the back of the whole theater.
And this is a brand new movie we're talking about.
Brand new. It had just come out like that Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And they have it all the way in the back, and it was it was one of the smaller theaters. So even this theater, I mean, did you kind of get the feel that they even didn't think that this was going to do anything and make any money?
Yeah, they knew they were going to take a hit on this, and because this was a theater that maybe sat 80 people, maybe 60, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was that tiny.
And they didn't even ask us like assigned seating or anything. Like normally there's like assigned seating they just let us just like, oh yeah, just sit wherever you want, and
Right.
we were the first ones in there. And finally, people started trickling in, like I mean, talking like right before the movie started. They didn't even bother to come in for the previews or anything, which is odd for a brand new movie. Usually, people are sitting in there dead ready to go.
Right.
Um, while watching the movie, that's something you can address too, is how the audience was.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people got it. Just to be honest with you, there was a general feel of, what is this? What's happening? What's going on? There were some people there that were fans of the video game, and they didn't really appreciate the movie at all. They didn't really like it either.
Yeah, there was a thing that happens in the finale of the film, and they were kind of with it through most of the movie. They were commenting like, "Oh, this is a reference to this." I could hear them whispering,
Right.
and but they didn't like the ending. They certainly didn't. There was something about that ending they didn't care for, and I don't.
Yeah.
Since I don't have a frame of reference for the video game, I don't know what the problem was.
Right. We have not played the video game. We just went and saw the movie, but the people who were fans of the game didn't really like what they saw, and I kind of had that general feel as myself. Now, um, is it worth spending your hard earned money on? I would probably say, if you want to watch this movie, save your money.
Yeah, because I at one point during the movie, I turned to Keith and said, "This could have been a streaming movie. Wait till Netflix." I
Right.
mean, I don't feel like just wait till and it'll be on Netflix in like 2-3 weeks. Like there's no way that this movie is going to be in theaters for more than another week.
Right.
The box office this weekend, it only made $8.8 million. That's it, and it was the number 4 movie. You're talking Twisters was number 3 still.
Right.
Deadpool and Wolverine was number 1.
And Twisters has been out for how long now? Several weeks. It's
Yeah.
been out for a couple of months, I
Yeah,
think.
the number 2 movie was a drama type movie for women, starring Blake Lively. I forget the name of the film. I wasn't interested in it,
Right.
but it was number 2. But yeah, a brand new movie couldn't even beat a movie that had been out for several weeks,
Right.
and coming
Right.
in at 4.
So, I would suggest that you save your money on this one and just wait until it comes on Netflix or Amazon or something to that effect. Or, I mean, if you really want to add it to your Blu-ray DVD collection, wait for it to come out on Blu-ray or DVD. But I would probably avoid going to spend the time to watch this at the theater. I mean, at least if you're watching it at home and you kind of get tired of it, you can pause it and walk away from it and come back a little bit later. But if you're at the theater, you've already spent the money and you're there for the duration of it. There is no pause.
Yeah, you're locked in, at home, bathroom breaks, all that good stuff. But yeah, just that would be my recommendation, because I thought the movie was all right. But yeah, I would say easily skip it until streaming.
Yeah, if you are a fan of the video game, I would say you're probably going to be severely disappointed with this movie, because just from the reaction that we saw from some people that were fans of the game, it really didn't follow along with the video game too much.
And the other thing I noticed is there were people laughing not because the movie was funny; they were actually laughing at the movie.
Right. Right.
Which I found kind of in bad taste, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
because the movie was not terrible. I have seen bad movies. This was not a bad movie by any means, but it was just, there was like a row of young people that just were tearing this movie apart. They didn't care for it at all. They were just raving at the movie.
Yeah.
They never got out of hand or nothing, but it was just, you could tell they were being disrespectful.
Right. It just didn't sit well with them at all. So, how many sodas would you give this movie?
It's mediocre, kind of average, so I'm going to go with 5 sodas out of 10.
5 sodas out of 10. All right. You're being a little more generous than I would be with this movie. I didn't like it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I didn't like the movie, and I felt like it was a waste of my time. Went to see it, so basically, so you don't have to. I'm going to have to go with maybe 3 popcorns with this movie out of 10. because I just, it really, to me, it just really fell flat. They got several big name stars. You had Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep.
You had Kate Blanchett. You had Kevin Hart.
Jack Black.
Jack Black. I mean, you had some pretty big name people in it. But
Yeah.
I think it felt like to me, they knew that this movie was going to be bad, so they had to do something in order to maybe get people's interest. So they pulled these people in. Now, I don't know what kind of incentive they gave these people to come and do this movie, but I didn't really like it too much. It just felt really flat.
Apparently, you mentioned the stars that were in it. Apparently, that was actually the crutch of the film. As it turns out, they thought it was going to be the help.
Right.
But apparently, the fans of Borderlands, like of the video game, were displeased by the casting choices because apparently the Kate Blanchett character is supposed to be a young woman, not supposed to be somebody Kate's age.
Right.
Which I felt like she did a fine job. It's just like, what is an Academy Award-winning actress doing in this movie?
Yeah,
what is Jamie Lee Curtis doing in this movie? Like, I could see Kevin Hart doing this, but not in the role. He should have played the voice of the robot. It should have been either him or Jack Black.
Right.
And you should have had somebody else in Kevin Hart's place in the film.
Right.
So,
yeah,
casting
think
was, an issue.
I think I saw some things that were the fans were saying that they would have rather Jennifer Lawrence had played the part of the main character.
Yeah,
instead of Kate Blanchett.
Somebody younger, and
right.
that's not a knock at Kate's age or anything like that. It's just that you're wanting it to be like the video game. You're wanting it to be representative of what you've played in the game. You want to see it on screen as a movie, and they just didn't hit the mark on that one.
No.
And I think that's probably another thing that they hurt the film.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that's where I stand on that.
Yeah, I didn't really like it too much. Like we said before, video game movies don't really do all that well, and this one, in my book, kind of did about the same thing that the Resident Evil movies did. It just really didn't hit. It had potential, but it really just didn't do anything, and that was kind of disappointing. Well, that's our cue to go. I didn't really like the movie too much. Chris was a little more generous about it than I was, but overall, guys, don't spend the money on it. Just wait for it to come on streaming and either watch it on a streaming network or buy it on Blu-ray or DVD. Don't waste your time going to the theater. It's just not worth it. Thank you for joining us. Again, I'm Keith.
I'm Chris.
This has been Friday Night Movie Review.
And remember to like, share, subscribe. Remember to hit the bell ring for notifications for when our next video drops. Please comment in the comments section if you are a video game fan of Borderlands, and or any general comments you might have or suggestions for us. And
right.
Thank you.
Let us know what you thought, and hey, spread the word that Friday Night Movie Review is here. Let your friends and family know. We need more subscribers, and we'd love to have more from you.